Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. I hope you all had a fantastic 4th of July. I'm currently recording this on the 4th, and it only makes sense. It's only right that we have a United States versus Mexico final in the 2025 Gold Cup. This will be the 8th time the pair have faced each other in the Gold Cup final. The United States, it's been on the wrong side of history for the most part. I've only won 2 of those finals, but you know what? Hey, this is a good year to make it 3. This is a good year to make it 3 because I don't think going into the Gold Cup, a lot of people, including myself, really thought the United States would get to this point. Yes, going into the Gold Cup every single year, the United States and Mexico are expected to meet in the final. And anything less of that is a failure. You look back to 2023 or 2023, sorry, with the failure getting knocked out by Panama on the court in the semifinals on penalties. Like, looking at that kind of stuff and going, doesn't really fill you with the most spirit. You're talking about, oh, this is an embarrassment for U.S. soccer. And like, again, looking at the fixtures going into the tournament, yes, even though, again, I will reiterate, the United States is supposed to at least make it to the final. And anything less of that would be considered a failure. But if you, again, look at the fixtures the United States had leading into this. The 2023 Gold Cup, the 2024 Copa America, getting grouped, the first ever host nation to get grouped at Copa America, losing to Panama on that, losing to Panama in the Nations League, getting beat by Canada, getting blasted by Switzerland. Like, the fixtures going into this did not really fill anybody up with that much hope. I didn't think that we would get to a final. Now, I didn't think that that Canada would lose to Guatemala in the quarterfinals. Hell, I didn't even think Guatemala would make it to the quarterfinals, let alone beat the team that I had losing to Mexico in the final. I didn't really see that one happening, but Tim Ream, who's been the captain of the United States throughout this entire tournament, he's been the captain for the most part ever since Mauricio Pochettino took over as manager. But he came up with a quote the other day. He said, a month ago, people really wouldn't have thought we had made it to the finals. And you could look at that and go, yeah, I didn't. You can't blame me for that. But then Tim Ream, yes, I did not really think the United States would make it to the final. But then you get the end of Tim Ream's quote, and he says, shame on them. I'm sorry. But again, you look at the fixtures leading up to that, you can understand why people be a little pessimistic going into the tournament. I talked about before the tournament that it was an extreme low point for United States soccer. Like, we're a year away from the 2026 World Cup on home soil, and we weren't really showing ourselves that well. We had the player drama with Mauricio Pochettino. We had, like, Canada even taking shots that we talked about in the last video, Jesse Marsh saying that none of our players said that we're gonna sit out this tournament. But hey, thanks again, Jesse. Appreciate that. Make sure, again, I'll remind you, make sure to focus on your own national team and not try to take shots at the U.S. But man, it's been a fun tournament. It's been a really fun tournament. As we've talked about a little bit already, the United States is coming off a 2-1 victory against Guatemala in St. Louis. Sold out crowd. It was a fun game. It started off like a freaking bat out of hell, or whatever that phrase is. It started off so freaking fast. Diego Luna got a goal in the 4th minute of the game. Plays a beautiful ball across field to Alex Freeman, who plays it to Malik Tillman, who I don't know if he really tried to do what he did or if he just lost control of the ball, because it looked like he tried to style it out a little bit, like he played a little like spinning pass to De La Torre, who took it first time, deflected by Navarro, parried by Navarro, and Diego Luna collects it so comfortably and then just slots it past him, runs to the corner, kissing the badge and all that great stuff, getting the crowd all pumped up. And you look at like the build up to the goal and see Diego Luna's movement. Like, Diego Luna starts on the left sideline when he plays the ball over top to Alex Freeman, then he scores the goal at the right post. Like, his movement, it's like watching freaking Stephen Curry just running all over the place. Like, I don't even know. It's so hard to mark somebody like that. He starts all the way on the left side. He ends up scoring the goal from the right post. Like, and he's about 5 feet away from the goal. And the control, again, I just gotta reiterate that. The control that he showed on that to like close, tight-knit areas like that, to have that close control, to be able to sell to yourself and slot it home, it was beautiful. Yes, the goal wasn't really that far away, so you would expect a player of his skill set to do that, but it's still impressive nonetheless. And then Diego Luna, we're talking about impressive, gets a beautiful solo effort, picks it up somewhere between the halfway line and the goal box, takes on a defender, splits a defender in the process, and just hammers a shot to the near post past Navarro. So the United States, in 15 minutes, is already up 2-0. And Diego Luna, if you went on social media during that game or after the game or whatever, Diego Luna is like the face of American soccer, the people's champion. I guess you could call that the American soccer. Like 3 years ago, he was playing in the USL. If you look at the 2022 World Cup and see where we were at that point in time, November of 22, He signed for RSL in June of 2022. I don't think he would have been able to tell you that in 3 years' time, he would be a bona fide lock to go to the World Cup in 2026 because his play at RSL so far this season has been exceptional. Like, it's not just for the United States as well. It's not like, oh, he's just playing well for the national team, he struggled for his club level. No, he's dominating for RSL. I think he has 8 goals to his name in 14 games for RSL, and he's got 3 goals in the past 2 games for the United States. Everybody loves Diego Luna. We knew that going into the tournament. We knew Mauricio Pochettino loved Diego Luna, talking about how he has big balls and all that great stuff. But to see the performances, to see the heart, to see the passion, to see every time he scored, go up and kiss the badge, pump up the crowd and all that stuff, to sign autographs after a game against Switzerland when you just got blasted 4-0. That's what the fans want. That's what we want as American soccer fans. That passion, that heart, that drive to be the best. And Diego Luna, like, I've seen a lot of people talk about this, like being a starter for the A team. I don't know if I'm really ready to say that at this point, because if you look at the current starters for the A team, I would say the midfield attacking trio, because remember, Mauricio Pochettino always likes to play that 4-2-3-1. In those forward 3 lines, not including the striker, you're looking at Pulisic, Weah, and Tillman. I think that would be my current starters for the United States for the 2026 World Cup. Does Diego Luna break into that? I've seen people talking about he's better than Timothy Weah. I don't know if I'm mentally prepared to say that at this point in time, but like I've talked about, it is incredibly hard not to root for Diego Luna. He is he's the people's champion of this national team. Like, people were calling him shorter Clint Dempsey with more tattoos, because Clint Dempsey obviously had tattoos, but like, you know that clip of Colin Cowherd's like, hey, LeBron, we're good. Ben Simmons is here. I saw someone tweeting about that. I was like, hey, Christian, Diego Luna's here. And it's just so awesome to have a guy like this within and around the national team who's performing at such a high level for the national team. And I'm excited to see where he goes from here. If that takes him to Europe, I don't really know at this point in time. And we're talking about moves to Europe. Damian Downs is close to linking up a move to Southampton. Patrick Agyemang just linked up a deal to Derby County. And the Derby County situation for Patrick Agyemang has been a very interesting one, because Patrick Agyemang, as we've talked about, I think it's kind of like I'm contractually obligated to say it every single time we upload a video, is that the relationship between Patrick Agyemang and the fans, it's not really like Patrick Agyemang's doing anything to like retaliate against the fans, but some fans really do not like Patrick Agyemang. Like, I saw some people, when he missed a one-on-one opportunity, he got a ball played, I don't remember who played the ball into him, but he had a one-on-one opportunity. Instead of just trying to round the keeper and slide it into open net, I think he got caught in 2 minds and like tried to chip him, or I don't really know what it was, but it threw him way off course, and the angle got so tight, and he ended up skying it. Like, he's still very raw. Like, remember, he was a D3 athlete not too long ago. He's still extremely raw. He's still got like some work to do in regards to his finishing, or like, so I saw people talk about the pass that he played Diego Luna where it was behind Luna, but people were talking about like he should have played it straight past the defender, because there was Luna here and 2 defenders here. Patrick Agyemang's like back here somewhere, and he played it between the 2 defenders, but people were talking about he should have played it down the line. And you look at that and go, the goalie would have run out and gotten that. Like, I know it's like fun to think about that in theory. Yes, you go like, oh, play it there. But one, Diego Luna's not an absolute burner. And 2, the goalie would have cut down the angle like that. So I don't really think that Patrick Agyemang made the wrong decision. It was just late. And that's still the development process that we're talking about. Like, he's got some things that you can't really teach. And that's size and athleticism. His bat to goal is very impressive. His hold-up play is very impressive. He's able to draw in defenders. But his finishing is insanely raw. I don't trust him in front of 100% in front of net. He's not the most natural passer. He's not the most natural dribbler, but you can mold that. I think Derby County thinks they can do something with that, because I think it was like a 10 million pound deal or something like that. Damian Downs was going to Southampton for, I think, around 8 million or something like that. I can't remember the exact figures here, but people tweeting at Charlotte FC, or people tweeting talking negatively about him transferring to Derby County and talking about what the hell are Derby County doing. Like, there is a player in there. It's still insanely raw, but I do think there's some potential in there. I'm not sitting here going like, oh, he's the greatest striker the United States has at their disposal. I'm not saying that at all. I do not want to get that twist around here. But I do think there's potential in there. Like, I've seen people calling him Romelu Lukaku. Like, that's a bad thing. Romelu Lukaku almost has 100 goals for the Belgian national team. Romelu Lukaku, I think, is the most expensive player of all time in regards to, like, total transfer value and stuff like that. And yes, his stint with Chelsea, second stint with Chelsea, was not great because after like 2 months, he was like, I want to go back to Italy. But to try and bash Patrick Agyemang to say he's Romelu Lukaku, I don't really think we're on the right track here. Like, I know he's not the great, like Romelu Lukaku doesn't have the greatest first touch. He's not the most natural dribbler. He can look somewhat awkward there, but Romelu Lukaku can be a deadly finisher when he's in front of net. Again, he almost has 100 goals for the Belgian national team. I think he's pretty damn good. I'm not saying Patrick Agyemang is Romelu Lukaku or he will ever reach the levels of Romelu Lukaku, but there is a player there, and I want people to stop being so like negative about it, or like everything that he does, like it doesn't matter what he does, you're gonna turn it into something negative. And Pochettino clearly rates him. He does have a ton of untapped potential in there. It's only time or if he actually realized that, because we don't know. We don't know if he's going to realize that. You look at the Colts with Anthony Richardson in the NFL, like they thought they had another version of Josh Allen, and he hasn't reached that potential yet. Like, you can have a player like that and see that there's potential there. It's up to them to realize that, and I hope he does, because I think there's a very good chance that he is the number 3 striker for the U.S. in the 2026 World Cup. I really think there's an opportunity for that. And you look at players like Luna, like Tillman, like Agyemang, who have really helped their case in regards to making the squad for 2026. And you talk about Damian Downs, you talk about Josh Sargent, Haji Wright, and all those types of players. But Pochettino trusts Agyemang. He really does. Rightly or wrongly, you can disagree with that all you want, but he trusts him. And I'm willing to hold out a little bit. He's not finished. I got to just keep reiterating that. I don't think Patrick Agyemang is the most amazing striker of all time. Not saying that, but the hate does need to die down a little bit. But back to the game itself. The United States goes up 2-0. And then they kind of sit back a little bit. They kind of just pull the defenders back a little bit, play with 8 behind the ball for a certain extent. And Guatemala, they put forth a nice little attack. And I think they had like 20 shots in the game or something like that. But now 5 of those were on target. So it's not like they were really scaring Matt Freese all too much. But they did end up getting a goal in that game. Escobar, the 18-year-old who we talked about in the last video, recovers the ball from Ordonez, who's dribbling. Ordonez does a great job of fighting through some defenders from the U.S., and Escobar is pretty much like holding his hand the entire time Ordonez is dribbling down the field, and you could tell like it was a little bit of miscommunication right there between the two players, where Escobar was trying to move over, but Ordonez just kept dribbling into those spots. He loses the ball, and Escobar recovers it, is able to control the ball and slots it past Matt Freese and net. And Guatemala, they did, like Rubio Rubin could have had a couple goals, or could have had a goal in that game. Oscar Santis had a couple chances in there, but the United States, for the most part, put the game to bed at 2-0 in the 15th minute and pretty much just called the dogs off. You brought in another center back. You brought on John Tolkien, because Max Arfsten, if you're going to try and defend a game, Max Arfsten is not your guy for that. We've talked about that 1,000 times, that Max Arfsten is not a good defender. He's good going forward. He is not a good defender. So if you're trying to sit back a little bit, Max Arfsten is not the guy you want to keep on the field for that, because he's going to get caught out of position every once in a while, and they're going to find a way in the back of the net. But hey, we'll take the 2-1 win. And Guatemala, I just got to give them a ton of credit. Again, the 106th ranked national team in the world. And I get the FIFA World Rankings are not like the most accurate things in the world, but it is a good, I don't know what you really want to call it. It's a good barometer for how good teams are, give or take a little bit. But Guatemala, being that lowly ranked team, beating Canada in penalties and putting some pressure on the United States, putting some decent amount of pressure on the U.S. in this game, you got to commend a performance like that. So I respect the hell out of Guatemala. They showed a lot of heart. I did see Rubio Rubin is trying to get back to the MLS. He's with the Charleston Battery right now, so we'll have to wait and see if he gets back there or not. But hey, again, credit where credit's due. Guatemala played themselves a fantastic tournament. And going from the 106th ranked national team, we move up to the 17th ranked national team, and that is Mexico. We're coming off a 1-0 win against Honduras. Honduras obviously coming off a win against Panama. Ismael Diaz, 6 goals to his name this tournament, and he hasn't played since the quarterfinals. I don't really think anybody's going to pass him at this point, because Diego Luna and freaking Malik Tillman have 3 goals. So does Cesar Montes, the center back for Mexico. But we'll talk about Cesar Montes here in a little bit. But in this game, there wasn't really a ton that happened early on in the process. Yes, there was one play where Marcel Ruiz, in the 42nd minute or something, closer to halftime, Marcel Ruiz got a ball into the box, and he does a nice little spin move to get around the defender, and you could argue that he should have probably laid it off in the process, but takes a shot. It gets parried by the goalkeeper, and they have a chance on net. I can't remember, Avalardo runs up to take a shot, and it gets cleared. They had a mini penalty shout in there, but it goes out for a corner in there. Raul Jimenez had a chance to score in the 48th minute as well. Julian Araujo plays a ball over top, and Raul Jimenez pretty much has a free header on it, but he just heads it down. It looked like he was trying to play it to somebody else rather than score on goal. And this was in the 48th minute, like right before halftime, so the added time period. But Raul Jimenez would make no mistake about it in the 50th minute, getting a ball in from Mora, and Jimenez in the box takes it first time past the goal. And that's just a clinical striker's finish here. This is the difference between having someone like Raul Jimenez and Patrick Agyemang. And saying Patrick Agyemang is not on the level of Raul Jimenez is not an insult, really, because Raul Jimenez, for a little bit, he's kind of getting back into the fray now as being one of the better, like, lower or less talked about strikers in the Premier League at this point in time. When you saw him at Wolves before the head injury, Raul Jimenez was awesome, getting linked with all sorts of moves like Manchester United in there. He had a very solid season for Fulham this past year with 12 goals to his name. This is the first goal, though, in the Gold Cup for him since the first game against the Dominican Republic. So it was nice for him to get back on the score sheet. And in that little stretch, right after he scored, there was about a 4 to 5 minute stretch where Mexico could have had like 10 goals. Like there was one that they had in there where I think it was Avalardo took a free kick. It bounced off a Honduras defender's chest. Goalkeeper goes up and saves it off the line. And when he saves it, it bounces off the defender again, same defender, and Edson Alvarez is able to put it in the back of the net, but it's ruled offsides in the process. So Mexico could have gone up 2-0. They had a couple other chances in there as well, but you know what? Raul Jimenez finally getting goal for the national team in this stage of the tournament. Again, we talked about him scoring in the game against Dominican Republic, which is the first game of the tournament. So to have him getting back on the score sheet was big, and it would have felt weird that if Edson Alvarez, a center back / defensive midfielder, or vice versa, had the same amount of goals as Raul Jimenez, who is Mexico's main number 9 in this tournament, or just in general, I guess you could say. That would have felt kind of weird, but hey, you know what? You'll take 1-0 wins when you can get them. And Mexico, for the most part, they controlled this game. They had 56% possession. Honduras only had 6 shots, and only one of them was on target, and that was from outside the box, so there wasn't really a lot of threat for Mexico in this game. So once they got up 1-0 and nearly had the 4 or 5 goals in that 50 to 54th minute period, they kind of were like, okay, we're cool. And Mexico this tournament, they've been the best team. I mean, that's not really a surprise. They drew one game to Costa Rica in the final, in the middle stage of the group stage, but you look at the rest of this tournament so far, they've only allowed 2 goals. They've only allowed 2 goals so far this tournament. That came in the first game against the Dominican Republic. They won that game 2-3, or 3-2, sorry, but you beat Suriname 2-0 in the process as well. We talk about Cesar Montes. Cesar Montes scored a goal in the game against Dominican Republic and scored 2 goals against Suriname. In both of those games, they obviously came from corners because he's a center back. He had free headers on pretty much all 3 of those goals. Like, I know the one against Suriname, he didn't score directly from a header. He fell to the ground, like side kicked it in, but he's the leading scorer for Mexico so far this tournament with 3 goals. And again, the United States is gonna have to be physical in the box for Mexico on set pieces. And I'm kind of nervous for their build-up play, Mexico's build-up play on the United States in the defensive areas because of how much the fullbacks push up the field. So Tyler Adams in that deep line midfield spot is going to be dropping back a lot, or unless the United States lines up with a back 3, which I think could be an option here. But the way Max Arston and Alex Freeman push up the pitch, I am kind of nervous for Mexico exploiting those areas in those spots, because you look at like Alexis Vega on the left wing spot and Alvarado, those guys are very dangerous players, very creative players from the wing spot, not to mention, as we talked about, Raul Jimenez as the main number 9, Santi Jimenez as well, who's only started one game. He started the game against the Dominican Republic and has not played more than 30 minutes in any of the 4 games after that. So, and he doesn't have the greatest goal scoring record for Mexico. I think he has 5 goals in 41 appearances or something like that. Even him coming off the bench, that's a scary option for them. Like, those two can be scary. Again, I know Santi Jimenez has not scored a ton for the national team, but having that presence off the bench, we saw his scissor kick in the game against Costa Rica in the 95th minute, that ultimately got ruled offsides. Having that guy on the bench is kind of scary. It is kind of scary. So I'm a little nervous for that, and they have the United States lines up defensively. You know what? I'm really looking forward to this. And if we're looking at other key players for Mexico, we obviously talk about Cesar Montes and his reliability from set pieces. We talked about Alexis Vega from the wing, Raul Jimenez, Santi Jimenez. You got Alvarado in there as well. You got Mora, the 16-year-old in midfield who started the past 2 games in the knockout stage. He's been playing really well for them as well. You also got Luis Malagan in goal for plays for Club America. 4 clean sheets to his name. Has the joint second highest save percentage in the tournament as well with a 75% save percentage. So it's not just like Mexico is just, I had something in there and my brain just completely fried it. But Malagan's a very good goalkeeper. Guillermo Ochoa sitting on the bench throughout this tournament. I was like, okay, it's a tournament, so Memo Ochoa has to come out. Memo Ochoa is going to be like the main guy of this tournament because every single time a major tournament comes, well, would you consider the Gold Cup a major tournament? Is it a major? I don't know if we would go that far, but usually in these type of moments, Memo Ochoa is like the goalkeeper. Everybody talks about what is a World Cup, Gold Cup, Copa America. Memo Ochoa is the guy. But Luis Malagan, 28 years old, very good goalkeeper for Mexico. And this team's it's a good team. It's just a good team. We talk about Edson Alvarez, the captain as well. They're a dangerous team. You look at Julian Araujo at right back. Like, he's a very attack-minded right back in there as well. So I'm nervous, as you should be. Mexico are the big favorites in this game. It's not hard to see why. I know the United States has played well so far this tournament. The United States deserves to be in this spot. But that little bit in the back of my head's like, man, I'm still scared. I'm still very scared. The United States' final record against Mexico in the Gold Cup, like we talked about before, is not the greatest. It's not the great. Only 2 wins and 7 so far. Hopefully they can make that 3 this time around. But we're looking at a starting lineup for the United States in this one. We're going to stick with the 4-2-3-1. But again, I would not be shocked if the United States play with the back 5 in this game. But starting in net, Matt Freese, who I've seen a lot of people. We're talking about like starters for the A team. Talk about Diego Luna possibly being a starter. Malik Tillman being a starter. Matt Freese. It's so funny. I brought this up in the preview for Guatemala. It's so damn funny how this always works out, where it's like, we hate this guy in the game against Haiti. Like, how can he start the next game against Costa Rica after what he did against Haiti? Again, he basically handed the ball to Don Lucius, who slotted it past him. Just first time, can't play with his feet, slots it right to him. And everybody was on him about how he's the worst goalie the United States has, talking about how the goalkeeper situation in the United States is at its lowest point ever. And I've talked about that before, where it's like, I don't really have the most confidence for the United States in regards to the goalkeeper position as we've had in previous years. But then he has the penalty heroics against Costa Rica, and now he went from a laughingstock to now people are starting to talk about him being the number 1 guy for the United States men's national team going into 2026, which kind of again shows how desperate we are for a main number 1, because Matt Turner just hasn't been that kind of guy. When he first came into the national team, everybody loved Matt Turner, but then it kind of started slowly trickling down. We saw the move go to Nottingham Forest. That fell flat on its face. He had some sticky performances in the Copa America last year. So people are just desperate for a new goalkeeper. I don't know if Matt Freese is the guaranteed number 1 starter for 2026, but like I've talked about in this tournament, minus the howler against Haiti, he has played very, very well with the shots that he's had, and obviously had the penalty saves in there as well. But Matt Freese is still the starter in here. Right back, Alex Freeman. No need to change that. Center backs is Chris Richards and Tim Ream, as per usual. Tim Ream being the captain. And then you got Max Arston at left back. And a lot of people are tired of seeing Max Arston in this tournament because he's not very good as a defender. He's great going forward. We talked about the goal that he had, the assists that he's had. He's a very good player going forward, but that's why he's a left wing back at club level. He's not a natural left back. Like, those are 2 completely different positions. You don't have that center back coverage and that you would at the club level, and especially with the 38-year-old Tim Ream. Like, that's a little different at club level versus international level, but he likes Max Arston. I could see a reality where John Tolkien plays there, because John Tolkien is a better defender than Max Arston, but we've talked about Pochettino loves his fullbacks to bomb up and down the field, so I would see Max Arston still starting there. Midfield, we're looking at Tyler Adams again, who, if we're talking about like players for the captaincy in the long term, Tyler Adams was the captain in 2022 World Cup. Tim Ream obviously is the captain for this term, but I think in the World Cup next year, I mean, it wouldn't shock. Tim Ream probably will still be the second center back behind Chris Richards, so he might still be the captain at that point, but Tyler Adams, I think, deserves to be the captain at this point in time. We're going to have Luca De La Torre start next to him. We're going to have Sebastian Berhalter on the right, Diego Luna on the left, Malik Tillman in the middle, and Patrick Agyemang up top. So again, the exact same lineup that we've seen the past 2 games. I think he's just going to keep the same thing. I could see John Tolkien going in there. I could see a Walker Zimmerman get inserted in the lineup because he's the bigger center back. Yeah, yeah, I'm nervous going into this game. I am really nervous for the United States because, again, Mexico are the favorites. Mexico, on paper, have a much better squad. They have a more cohesive squad with players that all over the squad that would start for their A team. You look at Raul Jimenez. You look at Edson Alvarez. Malaga looks like be the number one guy for Mexico at this point in time. If Memo Ochoa was not starting this tournament, then Malaga has taken the number one chain from Ochoa. But it's a scary game, and since it's the 4th of July, I don't think I can in good conscience say that the United States is going to lose this game. I don't think I can really say that. It would be very un-American of me to say the United States would lose a game against Mexico while I'm sitting here on July 4th. That doesn't really, I can't do that. So I am going to have the United States win this game. We're going 2-1. United States will strike first. Diego Luna has to score. He talked about the rivalry between Mexico and the United States. He has to score first. I think it's inevitable that Raul Jimenez scores. And then in the 85th minute of the game, I'm going to have Chris Richards winning the game for the United States. Like we saw Miles Robinson do back in 2021, we're going to have Chris Richards winning the game from a set piece, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I hope Houston's ready. It's probably going to be a pro-Mexican crowd at this game, which we usually get at these types of tournaments. But hey, you know what? Let's go. Let's take home the Gold Cup. Let's get to 3 games. Let's get the gap between Mexico and the United States closer in regards to total Gold Cups and Gold Cups against each other in finals. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. I'll try to be better next time. Yeah, this has been a fun tournament for the United States. We'll obviously have more videos talking about the United States. We'll look at the way too early 2026 squad for the World Cup. We'll be talking about recapping the tournament and all that stuff. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Check out all the links down in the description. Leave a comment as well for how you feel about the United States, about how you feel about Mexico, the Gold Cup in general, how your thoughts and opinions are for going into 2026, all that great stuff. Let me know down in the comments. And yeah, again, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. I've been Logan Blackman, and I will see you guys later. Peace.